How's it going, everybody? So we're back, and actually this is going to be the beginning of a new type of series, and it's more just kind of monster spotlights. So in case you guys didn't see the actual thumbnail or the title, we are going to be doing this guy, the Wind Ifrit, whose awakened name is actually pronounced Akhamamir. So in case of you guys don't know, a lot of people reference him as just Amir as the last four letters of his name, just because it's a lot easier. Now, of course, a lot of players think he's actually pretty bad, and they think of him as the worst Ifrit. Now, I think he's actually one of the better Ifrits, and he does do some decent damage. Now, if we look at my runes are far from maxed. So I'm running Swift Will, attack, crit damage, attack. The reason I'm doing that is so I can get his speed up, because I do not have the substats yet to get him to around 170 speed on Rage Will. Of course, I'm running Will runes because I'm running him on my Wombo combo team in Arena, and I'll go more into that in a bit. So we're going to go through each different type of gameplay in the game, and we're going to give him a rating in each type, and then we're going to give him an overall rating and see just how useful he really is. So the first one we're going to be giving him is, in fact, in Dungeons. Now, Dungeons is a huge part in actual gameplay. A lot of players kind of look past the dungeon aspect and go straight into Arena. Now, Dungeons is one of the main things that you guys need to focus on. Of course, I'm running a little bit of lag, so it takes a little bit of time to load up. So there's giants, dragons, and necro, of course. So let's see how useful he really is in each of them. In giants, he's wind attribute, and he gains actual attribute advantage against the giant. So if you do actually run him with a bit of HP, a little bit, enough to survive. My tower is enough to survive a few hits, and he's only about 13,000 to 14,000 HP with 800 defense. Now, my Akhamamir, right, 19,000 HP, okay? And I have attack, crit damage, attack on him. No type of HP substats are intended. Those are just purely coincidental. Now, that's amazing. I think he actually does have a higher base HP. Let's take a look at that HP. So this allows him more survivability, especially because, okay, so look, we got 6% HP there, none there, 22%, okay, so we do have a little bit, 16% there, so we do have a little bit of HP substats, but of course he has over 11,000 base HP. That is a lot for an attack-based monster. Let's look at some of my other attack-based monsters, and I'm in no means just pointing out natural 5 stars, okay, so these are all under 11,000. Let's look at some other ones. See, this one's under 10,000, under 11,000. And you'd think that, just a few hundred to 1,000 would really not make that much of a difference. But in substats, it really does make a difference. So he has nearly the same HP as Arnold, and Arnold is an HP-based monster. Granted, he is a 4-star, but still. That is, that definitely shows definitely that he has a high base HP. So this does allow more survivability. Also, his speed is at flat 100. Okay, so this does mean that he is going to get a little bit of less on Swift runes and other stuff like that. So you can't really build him exactly too speedy. But I did manage to get him to nearly 170 speed. So this will allow me to show you guys my Wombo combo team. Granted, his runes are not maxed yet, so by no means think this is the max damage output. But he is running around a little bit over 1,800 attack power, so this should be interesting. Now, in Giants, he can definitely deal some damage. I've seen a lot of people running him on the teams. I could show you a full run-through, but that would take a few minutes, and I don't want to waste your guys' time. It does work, and it is pretty nice. So if you guys are looking for a damage dealer, Akhamamir or just Amir, he can really do it for you, especially because he deals dots on his first skill, he stuns on his second skill, and when all those damage effects, harmful effects, all that stuff, they apply onto the boss, his third skill will do a lot more damage. All right, because his third skill, which is interesting, this isn't loading. Come on now. Sorry about that. So his third skill, I'll show you here. Where are you, buddy? Okay, so his third skill, damage increases by 30% for each harmful effect on the enemies. I've seen the Giants boss stack up to, 6 or 7 on my runs, and my runs are pretty low on the harmful effect dealing. So you guys could easily run up to 10 harmful effects. That's a 300% increase in his damage. That is amazing, especially because he deals right now about about 20,000, 20 to 25,000 damage AoE on my specific runs with only 2 harmful effects. So okay, I don't know why. Let me fix this really quick. Okay, so I finally managed to fix it. So let's say you actually run Akhamamir on this kind of team, which is pretty consistent. If you don't have a Lucian, you can run someone else, and if you don't have a Theomars, you can run someone else. But there's no, and you could also run Belladon instead of Chisoon. But there's no reason you shouldn't have Veramos, who also deals dots on his first skill. So let's say you have Defense Break, which you should have. So Theomars is my Defense Breaker. You could bring Belladon for Defense Break, or even Bernard, who applies 2 debuffs, which is even more. Okay, so dots, I've got some on, oopsie daisy, Lucian's 3rd skill. Let me show you right here. Or sorry, 2nd skill, he puts a harmful effect or a random weakening effect, right? Okay, so, and then Chisoon puts 1 weakening effect. So I'm definitely stacking these up. So on this kind of team where I could stack up probably to 10, if I manage to keep it like that, and he did use it, in fact, with all those harmful effects with an attack buff like from Chisoon, Galleon, or even like a Colleen or something like that. Like that kind of wombo team for Giants would really work, in my opinion, and honestly, I'm going to go ahead and give him 7.5 out of 10 for Giants. Now, there's obviously better monsters that you could use, but for a 5-star monster, he does the job, and for a lot of you free-to-play players, this is the kind of monster you'd look for this kind of dungeon. Now, of course, I'm going to have to give him a 0 out of 10 for Dragons just because it's fire attribute, and he wouldn't last that long, and if you did make him last that long, he would probably not do that much damage because you'd need some really high HP because he's a wind monster, you know. So then for Necro, he doesn't do multi-hits, only on his 3rd skill, which is only 2 hits. So I'm sorry, I'm going to give him 1 out of 10 for Necro just because he actually does have multi-hit on the 3rd skill, but he's mostly useful in Giants. So, if you guys are looking for a monster for Giants, definitely look towards him. Now, I would give him a rating in Guild War, but I'm just going to combine Guild War and Arena for later monsters like Katarina that actually do have different types of uses for Arena and Guild War. I'll try and be more specific and separate those, but for Guild War and Arena, it's pretty similar. Now, I'll show you Arena, and we'll do Trial of Ascension last. Now, I'm hoping it doesn't, in fact, crash on me, because I do want to show you a type of team. So, let me just find a team here that works. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do it on this team. This should work just fine. It's 2 wind monsters, a water monster, and a dark monster. So we've definitely got attribute advantage on one of them, and then the other 2, or all 3 of these are going to be neutral. So we should be able to do decent damage. Let's go ahead and see how it works. So this guy made a mistake of not running will runes. My Tyrone is supposed to have will, of course, but I think I screwed up and I have 5 swift instead of 4 and 2 will. But that's okay. So this is my Wombo combo team. My Bernard, in fact, is running no whale runes just because I'm trying to get him as speedy as possible. I think 262, which I'm about to get to 265 once I can switch out one of my Swift runes. So what I do is I speed everyone up, alright? Watch, I did a video, this last video was on speed syncing team, okay? So I apply the defense break first. Let's hope it all goes. Yep. Alright, so I apply freeze, and this should get at least the 2 on the left and the right. So we do it. Okay, so it actually got Chisoon. So I'm going to go ahead and slow this down for you. He is in no means max ruined, okay? He only has 1800 attack. I could probably get him up to about 2200. So I'm hoping this does crit on both hits because I don't have a crit leader. But this should be good. It is 2 debuffs for everyone except the Triton, I believe his name is, which is the Wind Sea Emperor. So let's go ahead and see how this goes. Alright. So it did 15,000 damage per hit. So about on Chisoon, of course. I'm looking at Chisoon. So it did about 30,000 damage total, okay? And his runes are not maxed yet. That is not bad at all, okay? And this is, I know it is completely dependent on the actual debuffs. So 2 debuffs, he did about 15,000 damage each hit because he hits 2 times on the 3rd skill. Alright, that's not bad at all. I'm definitely really liking him for wind and water teams because I see a lot of them now in Arena, especially with Bernards, and I'm able to outspeed most of them. So keep in mind my Akhamamir is not maxed out in runes, okay? And he's not even maxed out in skills either, okay? He could hit 10% more damage, alright? That's a big difference. That's what, like I had 15,000 both hits right there. That's another 1,500. All right, he'd be hitting over 16,000 on those two hits, and that really makes a difference, especially with Violent Runes. Ooh, 5-star. Sorry, got distracted there a little bit. So now I'm going to have to give him a rating. Honestly, for Arena, it's really dependent on the actual debuffs, and you're going to have to really take a look at your speed sync, because if he doesn't go with their debuffs, he's probably going to hit like 4,000 each hit, maybe 3,000 each hit, which is nothing. That's like throwing a feather at a brick wall. It's really not going to do anything. So you really have to get a team to work with him, and just because it's kind of hard to do that, especially for free-to-play players, I'm going to go ahead and give him a 7.5 out of 10, same as Giants B10. You know, honestly, I think this is a great monster. I'd give him a higher rating if he wasn't so monster-dependent and speed-dependent with your team, and you really do need him to go right after you apply all those debuffs, because let's say he was a little bit slower and that Veramos got a turn, and he doesn't remove inability effects. Keep that in mind, okay? Veramos can't remove inability effects. He would remove all of the defense breaks. That is, oh man, that would be horrible. I would probably do about 4,000 damage each hit on all of those monsters with Akhamamir, and that would do nothing. Again, like my analogy, that'd be like throwing a feather at a brick wall. I'm sorry, Akhamamir, but you definitely need a good setup to be useful. But as you can see, with pretty mediocre runes, since they're not max upgraded, he did deal some decent damage. 30,000 damage AoE is not bad at all. So, I'm not going to be too in-depth because Trial of Ascension Normal and Trial of Ascension Hard are definitely two different sides of a book, okay? So Trial of Ascension Normal is definitely based on how much damage you can really do. I know a lot of people do dots as their main source of damage, or even bombs, but honestly I think you can really clear this entire thing with just using damage dealers, as long as you have the monsters to keep them alive. So Akhamamir is going to be mainly used for Trial of Ascension Normal. I'm not even going to talk about Hard Mode because, again, like a 0 out of 10, because you're never going to use him for hard mode unless it's just like in like the 10s, 20s, and 30s, which of course you can use any monster in. So in normal mode, you're going to be applying mostly stuff that's going to keep your team alive, and of course defense breaks and stuff like that. Of course, I'm going to have to give him about 5.5 out of 10. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and give him a 5.5 out of 10 for Trial of Ascension Normal, just because he can in fact deal a nice amount of damage. He does dots, and he can stun. That's a great kit, but of course I really don't think you're going to be using him too much for Trial of Ascension. He's mainly an arena monster, and if you really need him to, you can use him in Giants B10, just because he does have attribute advantage, and he does bring the dots that will help you take down the boss faster. But for Trial of Ascension, all of the bosses have continuous damage immunity on every single 10th floor, so you cannot apply the continuous damage, and of course the stun is only 60%, so while it is nice to bring that extra stun, his damage output for the boss is not exactly as consistent as I would like it to be, when you could easily deal more damage with single target nukers, or even apply bombs, because in case you guys didn't know this, bombs actually do apply to Trial of Ascension bosses. So say you're on stage 100, you can actually apply bombs on the main boss. So just because his kit still works for Trial of Ascension Normal doesn't necessarily mean he's the best for the job. But of course you can use him if you are lacking in nukers. So just keep that in mind, because he does hit a little bit hard on his first skill. I'd say about 12,000, 13,000 if you do have really good runes. And if you're running Rage Blade, you could probably hit 15 to 20,000. But of course, you really do need consistency, and you're going to have to be really careful, because he's not like Theomars. He's not going to survive a lot of damage, especially because he does not have that Endure ability, so you do not get a second chance with him. He's not going to be like Theo or Perna. So in case you guys are looking for a nuker and you guys are really lacking in one, definitely look at Akhamamir. But for Trial of Ascension, I wouldn't highly recommend using him, only if you're in desperate need. So overall usefulness, I'm going to go ahead and give him a 7 out of 10. Honestly, I'm being really generous here. I think he is a great monster, and he has a lot of potential, especially with his third skill. But I would say mostly it's just his third skill, because when you do have two or more when you have two or more buffs and debuffs, you can really deal the damage as long as you have an attack buff and you do have the defense break and some other type of debuff. Honestly, I think he is going to be dealing a lot of damage. Now, I'm really waiting for a monster to come out. In case there isn't one already, I'm pretty sure there isn't, but if there is a monster that applies AoE, the branding effect that does 25%, I believe, 25% more damage on the monster that has a branding effect. If you could apply that AoE effect in a team that works wombo combo with Akhamamir, honestly, I could see him hitting over 40k total damage on his third skill with maxed runes on the right wombo combo team, but of course you're going to need the right team. So in case you guys don't know what a wombo combo team, it's basically a team that is just completely YOLO, no heals, no nothing, and it's just will runes, and you're using Galleon, and you're just trying to get as much damage, AoE damage, as possible, and that was my team, and you saw the damage he did with non-maxed runes, so honestly, I think he's pretty good. So 7 out of 10 for Akhamamir. If you guys want to see other monsters spotlight, of course, leave a comment down below. The first monster I'm going to say to reach 4 recommendations to get a spotlight on, I will do the spotlight on. If there's no monster that gets 4 recommendations, I'm going to go ahead and do whichever one I feel like I should do next. So make sure you guys do recommend one that you really do want to see. Don't just do a light and dark monster. And if you guys believe that you have the best the type of monster that you want to be showcased, go ahead and send me an email. I would love to do the monster reviews on accounts that have max runes. So if you do, go ahead and send me the information for that, and I do it on your account, the review, and it is good runes and stuff like that. Please only do it if you have maxed runes. I will go ahead and give you a shout out and put your name up, because honestly I really do need help for a lot of these showcases, because I don't have a lot of the monsters that I would like to do showcases on, and I'm talking about some new natural 4-star monsters and even some natural 5-star monsters. So, and of course other 4-star monsters that I do not have 6-starred, because I want to do it on 6-star monsters, okay? 6-star monsters only, and with maxed runes, please. So go ahead and send me an email if you guys want to do that, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the series. Alright, I'm going to be doing, if you guys watch this far into the video, I will also put a comment down below. I'm going to be doing a giveaway when I hit 15,000 subscribers, so hit that subscribe button. I really want to push this channel more, so once you guys help me reach 15,000, I will go ahead and do a giveaway for that, and I will put more details in a later video, but stay tuned for that, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the first showcase slash spotlight. I don't know what to call it yet, but we'll figure it out, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Don't forget to leave a comment on which monster you'd like to see. Alright, peace out, guys. Alright, so when you awaken him, he gets a bonus to his first skill. So you get each attack has a 30% chance to disturb the enemy's HP. This would be better if it was like an attack break or even decreases speed, but that's okay. Disturbing the HP recovery is not that bad. It's actually not useless, because the necropolis boss does actually heal back a little bit each time he attacks you. So this actually can help